I don't know what I did to this year. I don't know who I hurt, who was praying for my downfall, who was begging all the demons to come for me, but like, they was winning, babes. Welcome back to my video. If you haven't subscribed, what are you doing? Click the subscribe button right now and a notification bell to make sure you get notified every time I post a new video. So today we're going into the nitty-gritty. We're going to talk about my year. We're going to talk about my trials and tribulations and just everything in between. Just everything in between. I wanted to be raw. I wanted this video to be raw. I felt like I needed to share this and get this off my chest for anyone who watches me and feel inspired by me, and to know that, you know, just like you, we all have tribulations we're going through and we're fighting behind closed doors, but not everything has to be behind closed doors, because how do we help the next person? Most of these videos is to help somebody escape their reality, but a lot of times we have to face those realities as well. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. Leave a comment down below, okay, if you're feeling these videos, this yearly recap of mine, okay? This week will be posted on my website, okay? I've been wearing it for 2 weeks, y'all. And keep supporting, follow all my social medias, and let's keep watching. Well, I said let's keep watching. Y'all keep watching, okay? And see what I got to say. I'm out. I'm done. I'm gone. If y'all hear noise, my window's open because my workroom is hot. Okay? Listen, y'all. This hair is giving. I've been wearing it for 2 weeks straight. Watch the previous video to see how I put it on if you're interested. But today's video ain't about that, okay? So let's light up y'all. So I like to smell a little smelly smell. On the candle I'll be using, which is my favorite candle. I should do more. I love candles. It's like my side hobby. This is by Sensational, and the scent is Dragon Fruit Kiwi. In my workroom, I really love fruity, tropical scents, so I always stick to it. It's like my guavas, my kiwi, my dragon fruit especially. Like, those are the scents I love smelling when I'm working. So yeah, that's what we're gonna do. It's time to do a chit chat, get ready with me yearly recap. So let's get into it. So y'all, I did this. I've been working on trying to find my perfect everyday makeup look that will last, that will be flawless. And I think I finally achieved it yesterday. And I didn't even need primer, y'all. Like, I did it with no primer. And I was like, I have to do this look again. I have to do it. I was looking at some videos and somebody was wearing a middle part. All these girls, I was watching Vieira's vlog, wearing a nice middle part. And I was like, I want my middle part. I want my slick bust down middle part. This hair is really long. It's like 26 inches. So I was like, you know what? I'm giving myself a bust down middle part. I don't care. Upon us. So by the time this video posted, the new year already started, but today is December, that's my cute little nephew, December 30th, okay, it's Friday, New Year is Sunday, okay, New Year's Eve is tomorrow. Crazy. Now, the reason why I wanted to do this video, because I have mentioned multiple times on my Instagram of doing this yearly recap video, which I haven't done since 2017. The reason why is because this year was full of blessings. Well, blessings in a sense of lessons. because I don't want to make it seem like I had the most like for what an amazing year consists of. I don't want y'all to think like, oh my god, like this is the most amazing year. It's gonna be memorable, but not in like like a lit year or anything like that. So I want to give that disclaimer, but I feel like the lessons I've learned and everything I want to talk about. Now, a few things I will be talking about, a lot of people, a lot of women specifically, are not comfortable talking about, which is fine. It's their personal choice. For me, I meditated a lot on if I wanted to be open about this, if I didn't, did it feel like it was too soon? And I was like, you know what? The reason why I feel like I was struggling with this particular thing is because going through that season, and when I was open about it, the moment it happened, that now I'm realizing so many people went through it, but like no one talks about it. No one talks about it, so I want to talk about it. I personally want to talk about it. I don't feel bad about talking about it. It's going to be public information. I know it's fine. I'm good with that, okay? Because I feel like everything has a lesson. Now, 2022 started kicking my butt since July 2021. And if you guys have been really like keeping up with my videos, you will notice I've been very off. Like, I try to be present, but I've been off. Reason being is because so much has been going on in my life. Like, I had to deal with past traumas that I've never allowed myself to feel. And once that bubble popped, I literally went into a down spiral where I shut down for like 6 months. I didn't work for 6 months. Okay? And of course, when you do something like that as an entrepreneur, not only you're losing a lot of money, now you put yourself in a financial state you have no business in, which is, I know a lot of people might think it's dumb, but for me, I feel like I had to do that. I don't necessarily regret doing that. For the reason being is because I definitely needed that shutdown. I needed to recoup. I needed to allow myself to process it. Because child, I realized how troubled I was. I thought I dealt with it. I thought I was strong, that it wasn't something I was going to encounter. But let me tell you, life made me encounter it because other things trickled and created this, you know, explosion. So, dealing with realizing that I was turning 25, dealing with PTSD of being poor, okay? Let me tell you, people don't want to talk about it. Hustle culture is toxic, but the fear of being poor is even more toxic. Let me repeat that again. Hustle culture is toxic, but being poor, the fear of being poor, it's even more toxic when not handled properly. Let me tell you something. Like many people, because I'm a person that I don't really like to discuss tribulations or obstacles I face in my life, because I feel like they're no different than the next person, which is a fact. This is not minimizing my problems. No, I just like to acknowledge that there's a group of people out there going through the same tribulations as me. So I don't like the feeling of being a pick-me, okay? Which could be like a trauma, you know, response. I don't know. I just like to feel like, you know what, I have no excuses. There's people who's been worse than me. You know, I'm gonna get out of this. That's my mentality. So I don't like to really discuss trials until I've handled that. So for me, being an entrepreneur, I kind of stumbled on it. Well, not kind of, I did stumble on it because the way my life was going and school and everything just was not working the way I intended my life to work. Okay. And so I had to think quick on my feet and literally figure out how can I bring more income, because I don't have a college degree that's going to bring me the amount I feel like I need, especially as a livable wage. Now, the cons about being an entrepreneur, oh my God, the cons of being an entrepreneur, especially if you're raised in a household where money was very scarce, living necessities felt like you just feel like they were impossible to get at some point. Like, you fought hard just for your basic necessities. So like, why would you dream big? Okay. I'm trying to put this feeling in the right words. Like, I want to say it in the right way. So feeling that way, growing up, I realized like the way I grew up, like, I don't want to live like that as an adult. I don't want to struggle for my necessities, and I don't feel like I have to deprive myself of certain comfort in life. Sorry guys, I'm really trying to process my mind as I do this. Realizing that I don't want to live like this, and understanding that even though this is my predicament that I didn't have any control over, as an adult I can make certain choices which I have control over. That being said, I made it a mission, a goal, to do what I need to do to make sure I'm in a better place, not just financially but mentally. I've been suffering from depression since I was 13. Okay. Even at this moment, I still am medically diagnosed. I want to make this clear. I am medically diagnosed. I am on medication for my depression and my anxiety. I suffer chronic depression and anxiety altogether. So imagine the battle you have, feeling incompetent, having fear that you might repeat the mistakes of your parents, and becoming a workaholic because of that fear. Now, not saying that the type of workaholic was to aim to be a millionaire or anything like that. It's just that all my focus was on trying to gain a lifestyle, at the same time feeling like it was impossible to gain. So there's the battle right there. And trying to figure out, okay, as an entrepreneur, you have your high ends, you have your low ends. The beginning of 2021, my business was doing so well. And I'm talking about this because I really want to be transparent. I know on social media, especially on mine, like everybody else, you post the good moments, but like you have to share the moments where you're down, because we're all human. We're all human, and we go through tribulations, and when we fantasize and idolize people we don't know based off a couple of seconds in their life, you're thinking everything is Gucci, and you're like, well, she looks so pretty, and she's doing this and she's doing that. And it's like, girl, only if you knew. So now you don't have to guess if you knew. I'm going to put it on the table. We're going to put it on the table. So my business was doing really well. Really, really well. The first 6 months. Okay? And I mean, I really, really felt so confident. Like, I was like, this is it. Now it's to keep myself up here. Is to keep myself up here. So in the meantime, I'm trying to keep myself up here. I just felt this gnawing feeling like it's not gonna last forever. This is very short-lived. And quite frankly, it was short-lived, okay? Now, shutting down, losing on money, okay, and not being able to work really took a toll on me financially, which made my depression even worse. And I decided, because I was 24 going on 25, and I was like, you know what, instead of allowing myself to just cry and mope and nothing change, let me actually meditate and see what I can do to change, to allow myself to understand why I feel the way I feel. So I went into a moment of reflection. Well, not a moment, months of reflection, in all honesty. When I tell y'all I was reflecting out here in these streets, so I literally indulged myself and really looked at myself, and especially asked my husband, okay, be honest with me, like, what do you dislike? What do you feel like I'm not learning? Because at this point, I just feel like I was losing myself. I realized that money is my problem, but so is a million other things, okay? So is a lot of other things. So I went to a financial spiral, and prior to this, I was looking for a house. Like, my money was right. I was looking for a house, everything, got a realtor, and this is when the market going up, kept being out, all that jazz, okay? And once the money started dwindling, I was like, oh my God, I'm not gonna be able to get this house. And for me, my last goal of the list I made at 25, the house was the last thing I wanted to achieve from this 10-year-old list. Now, the list isn't just material things, but it was just things I wanted to embody as a person as well, which I started really focusing when I transitioned into the age of 25. So, as my finances was going down, I was like, damn, I don't think I could get this house. And what was even crazier is because what made me want the house even more, I hated where I lived. Like, I mean, like, mentally it did something to me. And I feel like, you know, as much as other people undermine and go ahead and say, well, be happy, you have a place to live. Yes, I'm happy about it. Do not get that confused. But at the same time, I work at home, baby. If my surroundings is not motivating me to work, money will not come in. And my work at home folks, my entrepreneurs know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay? So being said, I just felt like I wasn't productive. I feel like I wasn't pushing the best I could. And I just did not feel motivated. I just felt worthless. I felt useless as a person. Okay? I just felt like I don't even know what I'm doing. Like, why am I even existing? So, not only my fear of poverty is in my face, but I realized, like, yo, I'm kind of a crappy person. Like, I'm not a bad person. I just felt like I made everything about me. And this is why I try my best to live with a mentality of understanding and not making me the main character of everything. Like, I'm the only victim in this world. And truly, I'm not. Truly, my life is better than multiple people, but we all have a lot of tribulations. Now, I'm not rich or anything, but I need to acknowledge that my feelings even though they're valid, but you know, I'm not the only one with problems. Like, I'm not the only one processing it, and it doesn't take much to be considerate to others. So when everything is about me, I'm like deflecting and everything, and I just realized I was neglecting my marriage, I was neglecting my friends, I was neglecting the people around me due to feeling like I failed. The fact that I had to step back, feeling like I failed my dream. I felt me. I felt everything because my family failed me. And then that's when I realized that, you know, everything I dreamed and worked for and everything, I was like, oh my God, I've been living in an illusion. I've been living in an illusion. I think that was the thing that hit me the most. Realizing that I was living in this illusion that I can make my family kumbaya and, you know, they're going to support me and they're going to be there for me. And I'm like, wait, my family was never there for me. How can I put these expectations on people who never showed any better? That's crazy. That is so crazy. So I had to take a decision of not only stepping back from my business, but stepping back from family, y'all. I literally disassociated myself from my family for like 6 months. 4 to 6 months. And that meant everybody included, but my sister. I disassociated and I was just like, and even with my sister, I barely talked to her like that. I just was like, listen, I need to know where I stand. I need to understand why people are disrespecting me the way they do. I need to understand what direction I'm going in life. What are my core goals, my core values, my core priorities in life. Okay. I need to change it up. I need to change, okay? And there was a situation that made me realize, you know what, you're not being a great wife. You're not even being a good wife, okay? You're doing the basic. You're doing the bare minimum. Sis, you need to do better. So I started taking steps. Remind you, I'm still in this depressive mode. But I just did not want to dig myself in a hole and just feel all the time. I just had to allow myself to understand, like, yo, you can fight this feeling. You can feel this way, but you can be productive even though you feel this way. You can find healthy coping mechanisms to help yourself move. In the past, once I was depressed, that was it. I'm not a functioning human anymore. I literally, like, if you guys watched, what is it called? Soul. Soul is the perfect depiction of how I usually would process that sadness. So, you remember the little pre-ghost, like, is it a ghost? Okay, the little blob. It's not a human yet. It's a soul, the little soul, okay? And once Jamie Foxx's character told her, like, you know, you have no purpose and this and that, and how she shut down, okay, and literally closed herself off as a monster and has this barrier, but deep down inside, like, she is telling herself and is repeating the things that he was saying to her that was negative, and nothing is getting through her. Like, she is shut down in a shell. That's how I feel. Once I am in that state, everything will show because I'm very expressive. You can tell if I'm happy, you can tell if I'm sad. And I don't really hide those type of emotions. Now, I do here and there, but like over time, if you really know me, you'll know, like, yo, that's not how she feeling, bro. So I was just telling myself this year, I was like, just because you don't feel like it, you have to do it. You have to be on top of these things. You have to clean. You have to take a shower. You have to move. Your life doesn't end here because you're sad. And it's okay to be sad, but you have control of your sadness. You have some type of control. Now, granted, you cannot control never feeling sad, but you can control what you do with that sadness. So I told myself, even though I'm going through these tribulations, and I was going through other things at the same time while going through this process, but I told myself, you know what? I'm going to take advantage of the situation, and I'm going to handle these things completely different than my typical 23, 24-year-old Sarah would handle it. Because if I were to have a child, I know for a fact this wouldn't be the healthiest way to handle facing obstacles in life. So I changed the way I communicate. I changed the way I listen to people, including my husband. I changed the way I think when I feel like I'm misunderstood or I'm being quote unquote ignored. And I'm saying this to say that, like, a lot of times we think people are deliberately ignoring us, but they too are going through something where at that moment you're not a priority, and that's okay. That is okay. But that's what I'm saying, like, I have to learn how to be more considerate, and it's not all about me. I have to really focus on not only being a considerate person, but focusing on who I am as a person. Like, focusing who I am to people around me. So in the family, like, filling the part, just darken the roots and everything. So we're gonna run to the house. I can't wait to get a new chair. It creaks too much. So guys, yeah, with everything being said, I had to focus on being a better human to the people around me, because I sure was not a good human in a sense of being considerate, being more considerate. I felt like I was too considerate to the wrong people and not considerate enough to the right people. So with that being said, I was allowing people to play in my face. From ex-clients I was doing the most for, to people who was just taking advantage of me, bro. Like, what? And I'm a really nice person. That's how I knew I was okay. So I didn't know how to balance the two, because at this point I feel like, okay, you're taking advantage of me and I can't stand it. So everybody getting the axe. I finally clicked. So that was the year I really started cutting people off. Like, I was just like, oh, nope. Especially if it was gnawing at me, I was like, yeah, I'm good. I'm good on you, love. And I was just like, yeah, I'm not doing this no more. I just can't. I cannot. I'm not spreading myself thin anymore. I need to give myself grace, because this is getting ridiculous. Why is this eyebrow so dark? I just realized I didn't even put foundation on. Well, yeah, it was getting ridiculous. So at this point, I was like, you know what? I gotta figure my life out. I gotta figure out a balance. Okay. So I just have to figure out a balance. I have to figure out what I wanted to do and who I wanted to become. I felt like I was too motherly. Like, I was too motherly to people who are adults, just like me. I give them too much benefit of the doubt, which put me in a lot of predicaments last year and this year. Okay, with crazy people trying to help and stuff. And when you do it here, you become like, you know, a therapist, like an unlicensed therapist. And I be trying to, like, I'm very empathetic, so I connect with people very fast. But I was connecting with crazies, y'all. I was connecting with crazies. I had this one ex-client make the poorest decisions in life. I mean, made the poorest, like, had just, I don't want to say too much, but at some point I was like, yeah, I don't want to do you here anymore. I don't want you as a client. I don't want you in my life, because you just don't learn. And, you know, the story time I can make with that. The story time, I'm just not grimy. I'm just not grimy. That's why I'm not even, I'm just giving y'all hints, but I'm not even going into detail because I'm just not a crabby person. I just can't do it. But, you know, I had to really focus on rebuilding my space to function mentally. So instead of being sad I didn't have a house, because granted, the house, me aiming to get a house wasn't just to be like, oh, I got a house. It had way more to do with me feeling like I'm getting closer and closer to financial stability, because not being able to provide myself the luxury of not worrying about my necessities and a little room to spare haunts me, and I think it haunts everybody, and it overwhelms me a lot that I have to really control it, or I start spazzing out in like anxiety attacks and stuff, and then I lose sleep, and then just everything just goes left. Okay, and that's that. So I was like, you know what, we have to live the life you're chasing, even though you don't have much. You have to live the life you want, even though you're not there yet, instead of moping around that you're waiting for this particular phase in your life to happen. That's when you're gonna start doing this, and that's when you're gonna start doing that. No, I was like, you know what, let me change my mindset. Let me start living the life I want right now. And I made that decision in May. And when I tell you, from May to the second week of November, kicked my butt. Like, it wasn't even just kicking my butt, it was like gut punching me. Okay, I don't know what I did to this year. I don't know who I hurt, who was praying for my downfall, who was begging all the demons to come for me, but like, they was winning, babes. They were winning. Okay, they were definitely winning. Okay, every day I felt like I was losing myself, and I had to really fight through those feelings. Really fight and say, not today, not today, not today. Okay, I'm gonna go take this walk. I'm going to spend the money on coffee because it makes me feel better. Okay, is it financially smart? No, but for me and my sanity, I'm getting that Starbucks. Okay, you're not gonna tell me any different, because I'm barely functioning. Okay, I'm barely functioning, just trying to be a decent human to you. So that's what I've got going on. Okay, so with that being said, I had to do what I had to do, y'all. Like, I had to really make myself present without being present, to just be like, you know what, everything looks like it's going to craps, but at least you got this coffee though. Like, I was working on gratitude, I was working on doing what I can, and just working with what I got. I stopped trying to be a multitasker. Okay, I started functioning and learning how to properly prioritize, how to know when to just be like, you know what, I can't do this no more. I'm not obligated to do this anymore. So forth, so forth. So that goes on to my next topic. So July, I had gotten a booth thinking, well, I was putting my focus on the wrong things, okay? A year ago, I didn't want to do hair anymore. Like, the only type of hair I wanted to do was wigs. I wanted to make and sell wigs. Okay? I did not want to do hair anymore. But I went out and got me a booth thinking it was going to improve that sector, even though I clearly didn't want it. But, you know, I just felt like I was doing it for so long, I might as well. Which was the best, worst decision ever. Reason being, it became a financial burden. It became a financial burden in a sense that it didn't benefit me. Okay? It just didn't benefit me, y'all. It was doing so much. And I was like, why am I? And I literally felt I felt for the propaganda, and I was like, you know what, this probably is a sign that I'm moving up. Let me focus on that. And I'm like, no. At some point, I was only going there like 4 times a month, and that's what I was saying, like, it was the worst financial decision. Now, it didn't cost an arm and a leg, but there was no purpose of having that. You feel me? So I relinquished my booth, and I feel so elated because it was a lesson I had to learn. I realized even with my wig business, I don't want to own a store. I don't. It's already a lot for me since I'm still on one person show that I just don't want that experience. Okay? And I like working out of my home. So when I got my home, which was a miracle by God, because at that point I was on my wit's end and I was like, I no longer want to be here. Now, prior to that, I went through a pain that even now I haven't fully processed yet, and that's what I was starting the chit chat with at the beginning. I do not wish this on my worst enemies, because the pain is unbearable and just something I didn't think would happen this year. So the first week of September, I found out I was pregnant. What? Yes. Yes, y'all. I found out I was pregnant. I found out I was pregnant. I found out I was pregnant. It was crazy. It was crazy. And the way I found out, you know, let's do this out real quick so I can dive into these details. So the day I found out I was pregnant, I was literally in bed. This was the day I was at my wit's end. I was at my last moments. I did not get out of bed that whole entire day. All I did was sob and cry, okay? I just felt like nothing in my life was making sense. I felt like everything I was doing was in vain. And at that point, I don't know what direction I was going, because I was just like, yo, like something needs to work for me, because at this point, what am I doing? Like, what am I doing wrong? I just felt so lost, like, oh my God, it still feels like yesterday. And a thought popped in my head. I said, you know what would top this moment off? Is if I were to be pregnant. Child, oh my God, oh my God, oh my gosh. And took the pregnancy test. And the only reason why, it's not that saying I don't want kids. I want kids, but not right now. Because nothing is making sense in my life. And I personally don't want my children to go through certain things I went through as a child. And so, like, I didn't feel like it was ideal right now to have a kid. So now I'm feeling like, okay, I'm not grasping anything in my life. Oh my gosh, like, now I felt pressure. Like, something clicked in my head, and it was like, well, now you gotta work, girl. Like, you can't take your time. You cannot be fighting no more. You have a whole new person to provide for, even though it wasn't according to the plan. But after the instant shock of finding that out, I've accepted it and I became excited. I felt like maybe this is the change I needed and the drive I needed, because I had no type of drive, no type of motivation at all. And I was like, if there, because I didn't feel like I was enough to push myself to that type of drive, okay? I did not feel like it at all. So I was like, you know what? This is the kicker I need. This is the kicker. In a sense of bringing myself back to reality and really going back to the mental state of doing what you have to do, not doing what you feel like doing, even when you don't understand it. Well, let me tell y'all, that was the most troubling month, because I was already like 6 weeks into my pregnancy when I found out. So technically going into your second month, my second month. Y'all, when I tell y'all I went through so much trauma that month, not only was my pregnancy symptoms kicking my butt, where technically September I didn't really work, not because I didn't want to, I just couldn't. I was exhausted, I was tired, all I did was sleep. Like, it was kicking my butt, okay? And then on top of that, I had an ectopic pregnancy scare. And then I went to the emergency room. Kind of find out they couldn't see the baby. Then find out I was way earlier than I thought. And then when I realized I was still pregnant, even though the hospital told me I wasn't pregnant no more. And then just everything started trickling. It was not matching. Nothing was going right. I was like, no pregnancy should feel like this. Like, what doctor said you're not, next doctor said you are. You already started bringing your baby, then you find out you're not, your baby didn't go anywhere. And then now, just through everything that rolled into every chaotic thing for that month, at the end of finding out you're still pregnant, the following day you lose the baby. Like, you literally, not even a day, a week. And I just felt it in my soul, because I was like, nothing about this pregnancy, just like my life this year, is going right. And my friend came to see me and tried to motivate me and everything. And she was like, you're just saying this because of the trauma, you know, think positive. You're gonna have this baby. And it's not me mocking her. I just knew, like, even when she was saying that, that's how I was hearing it in my ear, because it was going in one, going out in the other. And I kid you not, I looked her in the face and I said, this baby is not going to make it. Because nothing in my life this year made it. Everything was here today, gone tomorrow, and it was one of those things. Well, that was a Wednesday. That Thursday, woke up at 5 a.m. with the worst excruciating pain of my life. Called my physician and immediately knew at that moment I am miscarrying. It's not funny, but it's just so crazy to me that in the midst of everything going wrong, a child didn't make it. My child did not make it. And going through the experience and checking that the baby was not in the sac anymore, and the midwife was very, very dismissive about the whole situation. And she was like, well, you know, miscarriages happen more often than you think. This doesn't mean you can't have another baby. And, you know, there's the exit on the left. Like, literally kicked me out after saying all of that. And I was just sitting here like, you telling me this happened often does not make me feel better. Like, I know this is your job and you probably tell like 20, 30 women per week that they lost a child, and, you know, this is normal to you. You don't really care. But, you know, you could be a little sympathetic, sis. This is my first miscarriage of my first child. Like, you could be a little nice. You could be a little nice. So, after confirming and going back to the doctor, that is not the part that traumatized me the most about this experience. It was more so having my body process and removing what was left. And that right there, I was on Google, because I'm like, I've never been through this in my life. I don't know how this works. And when it happened, you basically, I basically went through it physically by myself. having to quote unquote birth my dead babies. So I think that's where the trauma really resided with me. It was one thing to feel pain and just bleed, but I guess because I was already in denial of what's going on, as I said, I was going through other big life-changing, destructive things. I was like, this is the icing on the cake, bruh. This year is showing out. Okay, you know, after that, when I said, let's go, that's what the year was telling me. Let's go. Like, it was crazy. It was crazy. Okay, if my mom, no, we're not doing this back and forth with you, y'all. It was crazy to go through that, and that was literally October. I had the miscarriage and the roller coaster in between, and just realizing what happened. I was like, because I was already sympathetic to women with fertility issues and miscarriages and stuff like that, and it hits different when you're in that position, especially as a person who wants kids, who loves kids, who dreams of having her own kids. Regardless if my kid did not come when I planned, it was still my child, and it just took a toll on me bad. So instead of allowing myself to feel those emotions, when that happened, I shut down. I literally was like, well, picked myself up, cried for like 15 minutes, and guess what I went to do? I went to go to work. And that was that. I went to work. Because at this point, that was the only thing I could control in my life. That was the only thing I could control. And I revisited that moment yesterday night, and I just couldn't deal with what those memories will invoke. So like, even though I'm talking about it, I'm not connecting myself to what happened, if that makes sense. I disassociate a lot because I feel deeply, and I just know that at this moment where I still have so much to do, I am not able to give myself the time to process that. And that's fine. I'm not rushing it. But when I finally have the chance to sit down, I will. So, the reason why I'm sharing this story is because so many of my peers, so many women, just as my ex-midwife was telling me in such a condescending way, so many women go through it, but no one talks about it. No one talks about it. Everybody is like, you know, hiding the fact of what this feels like and how to allow yourself to process. And I get it, not everybody's comfortable talking about it, because at the end of the day, a death is a death. But I feel like if there was more conversations about it, a lot more women who was going through it, especially if they felt alone, like no external family support or anything, because I didn't necessarily have any family support. Well, I didn't have family support. It was just me and my husband. You know, I feel like we would be able to mourn better when going through those experiences. And I guess that's why a lot of women don't know how to properly process that, because half the population feel like, well, it wasn't really a real baby. Then it's like, well, you didn't meet the child. But like, when you're pregnant, now there's some women who don't connect with their kid easily, but for me that wasn't the case. I felt the connection. I felt my child here I know what I was feeling, okay? I knew there was a baby in there, and to see it one day and not see it the next day, that's traumatizing, okay? That's very, very traumatizing. And for me, I'm still in the position of just trying to get myself there and just weep my heart out. But I just be feeling like, and this is where the PTSD, this is where your coping mechanisms kick in, whether good or bad. I just go into denial. I don't handle stuff like that very well. And either I shut down or I act as if nothing happened. And I make a lot of dark humor. I make a lot of dark humor, okay? I am Rick. If y'all watch Rick and Morty, I am Rick, okay? Dark humor to the ends. And I will hee hee ha ha, knowing I am in such great pain. And if you're going through something similar, like me, and you feel alone and you feel like you did something wrong, I'm here to tell you that you didn't do anything wrong. It was out of your control. Just because you didn't get a chance to see your baby fully grown doesn't mean it wasn't a baby. It doesn't mean it was less of value as a human and that it wasn't your own. And that it's okay to share those sorrows. It is okay to grieve, even when others do not understand. It's okay if you felt that connection with your child and bonded with your child as soon as you knew it existed. Not everyone's gonna get it, and that's fine. But find the people who do. And allow people to support you. Because I haven't vocalized how this made me feel. Genuinely. Not fully. Not to the extent to my friends. The other side of me. So, if you have the chance to vocalize how you feel and you just feel like it's weighing in your heart, don't allow that to fester. But don't allow that to fester because, y'all, I'm suffering the repercussions right now. Even though 2 months has passed and I've distracted myself from what has happened, it still gnaws at me. Like, just seeing baby stuff and the videos pop up on my timeline, and like the other day I went for my checkup to make sure like my uterus and everything was fine, and the lady in the front desk accidentally gave me like a pamphlet because during this week I would have been 5 months pregnant, and they didn't update the system that I went through a miscarriage. So, you know, that was one of my triggers. I try to be strong about it. I try not to allow it to get me into an emotional place in public, because I just know that I just want to wail. I just genuinely want to wail. Don't do like me. Thinking that you're superwoman. This year has taught me that I am not superwoman. I need to be supported too. I need to be acknowledged as well. And I should, you know, especially with everything that has happened, speak out on it, because it was literally the cherry on top. Like, very much so. And it was one of my greatest fears that became a reality to me at my lowest. And sometimes you don't have to put on a smile and put up a front and be like, hey, I'm okay. Because you're not, and it's okay. Like, I am not okay. I am not okay. Either I can cry about it or I can laugh about it, but I am not okay. I'm not okay. I'm going to get okay. I'm gonna be okay. I'm gonna be okay, but right now I'm not okay. I'm still, you know, having backlash not backlash, whiplash. Like, you know, when you get in a car accident, you got whiplash. I got having whiplashes from those experiences. And so, if you have suffered a miscarriage and you found ways to cope, like share, comment down below. Even if you don't, leave a word of encouragement. Like, even now, I feel like if I don't laugh, I'm gonna cry. But I just feel like it was something I wanted to share, just to get it off my chest. I didn't feel like it was a secret for me, and that I understand you. If you're watching this, I understand how you feel, and it's okay to continue to grieve or mourn that experience. That was the worst experience of my life physically, like feeling that and going through that process, and mentally and emotionally, especially when you don't have answers for why it happened and no one can tell you what has happened and you're just in the air. You know, I get it. I understand you and I feel you. And that, you know, this is not going to be the end of my journey of being a mother. One day I will be a mother. But I know that I have a lot of growing to do, and I want to really allow myself to feel this experience and take lessons from it, as well as uplift other people in those experiences, because not being uplifted or encouraged or just sharing these moments with somebody to share that empathy with you, it's tough. It makes it feel like what you're feeling is invalid, and it's not. Especially when we go through a lot just through our bodies itself and changes, and that was a very big change for me. Like, just that 2 months I was pregnant, I literally gained like over 7 to 10 pounds. Like, it was an experience. But I'm glad to say that, you know, December has been good to me. Even though the last 20 months, I have been counting, even though the last 20 months have been challenging, it was so many lessons, and I've learned a lot. And at the end, I did get what I want, a house. But God showed that he still favored me even at my lowest, and that I don't take anything for granted. And I'm ready to kick butt. I'm ready to use my platform, not only to focus on just looking pretty and being cute, but actually feeling good. And that even on your low days, you can be your best and you can still conquer it, even if it's just one task. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Here's the look, okay? And I will be seeing you in my next video. And as I said, leave a comment down below of any advice, any encouragement for me or for whoever else is watching this video. And I will see you in my next one.